This video is the build of this baby quilt rack that I made for my sister who just had baby Carter. The lumber that I used for this project was actually from a coworker. His father had passed away a number of years ago and he was a woodworker, so the coworker asked if I'd like to use the lumber, which I really truly appreciate. This baby quilt, on a side note, is actually made by both of my grandmothers. My grandma on my dad's side did the appliques and the quilt top, and then my grandma on my mom's side did the quilting. So when I had my oldest daughter 24 years ago, my mom gave it to me since Anna was the first grandchild in the family. So it's a very important, very special quilt in my family. So I think once I give the quilt rack to my sister, I'm going to have to make myself one. I glued up two 1.5 inch wide pieces in order to turn them on the lathe for the rod that will hold the baby quilts. This rod was the longest piece that I'd ever turned on the lathe, and for me the best approach to keep the middle from shaking is to make sure that both ends are on tight and the speed is up fast and taking small swipes at each turn. I used a Forstner bit on the drill press to cut out a 1 inch circle, and then I cut that in half and used that as my guide on how thick I needed to get the rod. I wanted to add a little extra character to the rod, so the red lines are every 2 inches where I was going to add a divot. Disregard the other marks because I couldn't initially make up my mind how far I wanted them apart. Old oak can be a little tricky to turn on the lathe, especially with limited experience, so it didn't quite turn out the most smooth, but I was still happy with the extra character to the rod. Dados were cut on the underneath of the shelf for the arms to join into. I took very shallow cuts each time, so I adjusted the depth about 4 times in order to get the right depth. In order to add a little character to the side arms, I taped up the 2 pieces together and then used Forstner bits on the drill press of different sizes. I used multiple passes of the table saw blade on each of the arms in order for them to be the right fit to fit into the dados on the underside of the shelf. I used the router with the roundover bit in order to smooth out the sides of the arm, as well as the inside of the holes that I cut with the Forstner bits. The small holes were too small in order for my router bit to fit into. I drilled pocket holes on the back piece that will connect to both the arms as well as the underside of the shelf. quilt rack together. In the back of it, pocket hole screws holding this board to that, and the side to that. So that little piece right there is kind of what's holding it all together. And then a couple coats of shellac to finish it off.